And let me just briefly introduce Ursula. She joined Xerox in 1980 as a summer intern and spent the next 29 years essentially working up through the organization in a variety of roles. And then in 2009, she took over as the chief executive. Ursula was recently ranked number 4 on the Financial Times list of the most powerful women in business.
So I'm a mother of 2. First, probably the most important thing. My son is 22, my daughter is 19. Find the worst part of South London from a safety, economic development standpoint, and that's where I come from, hail from. I was raised by my mother, and I started at Xerox and basically found the perfect company for me. They just were very interested in how smart I was in engineering, and so they gave me a lab and some tools and some money and said, go solve these problems for me. And they kind of brought me along at an appropriate pace. Back in 1999, 98, 99, we had about 110,000 people probably. During the next 5, 7 years, we went through 2 transformations, right? So we went, more than 2, but in this time, from that 100,000 person organization generating $17 billion of revenue to 55,000 people generating $17 billion of revenue. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we had to actually relearn, because we started as a monopoly that was a fully vertically integrated company that had, you know, the closest thing that you could have to lifetime employment. And we had to move to a global company, not just globally selling, but globally sourcing, globally learning company, and acquiring and accessing all of the great skills from around the world. And if they could do it for less or better, or it wasn't intellectually captive to us, that we had to have it, we literally outsourced a lot. So we could actually move our revenue not a bit and cut our number of people in half. It obviously is a disruptive thing. People who worked for us who no longer are working for us. But our shareholders actually liked that better than the opposite, right? Which was to go right out of business. We had right-sized. We had done the really deep introspection about what the hell are we really good at? What is our business? Where do we add value? What do we have to own? What do we, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we could actually start to use that base to grow, to expand around our core, right? So we have a core of knowledge. We are a global company. We have an amazing brand, and we have innovation and technology at our core that can help solve problems. If this is the set of assets that I have, if I have these 3 things on the table, where else can I use them that are relatively close to our core? We had gotten ourselves wrapped around this, you're a copier, you're a copier. And yeah, that's good, but we could do more. And we were doing more. The start was that well before we were thinking of acquiring, we had already grown a fairly substantial $3+ billion services business focused around document, where we would go and take over the document technology process, document process of a business. And we would manage everything using technologies to actually change the way that a person deals with, or a company deals with, their information infrastructure. So we had started this business and grew it to $3 billion. And we wanted to continue growing it. It was the fastest growing section of our business. Unfortunately, to continue growing it, or fortunately, we couldn't do it all organically. It would just take us forever. I mean, it was we'd have to hire more and more and more people and win more and more deals. So we started to look at acquiring customers. And the way you acquire customers is you acquire business, right? One of the ways. ACS, they are primarily US from a commercial side. They deliver from all over the world, but commercially United States. And they use innovation, but it's not really to the level or the depth or the breadth that we can actually add to their business processes. So we had these 3 things that they were looking for, and we were looking for scaling a services business in a multi-service way, and expertise around managing people and managing processes that they bought. So this was really one of these things where in the beginning you said it, the understatement of the century, where people said, what the hell are you doing? They were like, more than what the hell are we doing? What are you doing? And we're going to sell all your stock, all of our stock, which they did. And what we had to do, myself and the CEO of ACS, Lynn Blodgett, and my CFO at the time, and whoever else would come with us whenever we needed them, was to literally go shareholder by shareholder, large and explain to them over and over again what we were doing. So we got the fear and uncertainty and doubt, the first throes of that kind of dampened down by literally being on the road from September to February when the vote was done. We still are today selling this, explaining and selling this proposition because we are at the beginning of this journey, but it's one that everybody now says, I got it. Now all you have to do is implement it. It makes total sense.
Lynn Homer, Department for Transport. The public sector in this country is having to do some of that right-sizing too, seeing reductions of 20 to 30%. I'd like to understand a little bit more what advice you can give us about how you not only change the size of the business, but the kind of what's inside people's heads.
We were extremely transparent, very, very clear about the realities of the situation that we were facing. And I remember this was amazing. It was the amount of advice that I got to not do this, to not do this. They can't they won't understand it. They can't understand it. They won't get it. You're giving them too much information. They're going to use it against you later. All kinds of things could have been true. It turned out a lot of them turned out to not be true. They did understand it. It's amazing how well people respond to knowing, how well they respond to making choices like, I'll take a cut and pay. We'll all take a cut and pay for if we can save 500 people. You know, these kind of choices are really, we'll take a furlough if it means X. These type of choices are, I would engage as many of them as I can with the employees because they actually make good choices generally.
Bev Hurley, my company is YTKO. We're a small business, but we're rapidly growing. And I want to look at some acquisitions next year. I would really like to take this opportunity to learn from you what are the one or two things you have to get absolutely right to make a successful acquisition.
Number one is fit. Number one is making sure that the company that you buy, you like the people in it, you like the businesses they do, that you like. Don't buy a company that's broken, that you meet the people and you go, my God, I can't wait till I buy this. I'm going to get rid of all of them or get rid of the leadership team. This idea, Ann taught me this, it is so important that you get that part right.